Dear beloved Creator, we are an assembly assembled in trust and in love with one another for the gifts each brings. We are part and particle of you, and we gather, enjoying these moments of acknowledgement. It is by our request that we move in your grace and protection. It is by our great gratitude that we collaborate our shared vision and actions, taking one faithful step at a time. We have a goal and a mission. I say we are there and we're here to claim our status in service to you. So, as a servant and child, not innocent, but receptive of all the love and nurture you give us as we move on our courageous journey. And so it is.
Thank you, Charlie.
My pleasure.
My name's Ron Vroom, and I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I have some things I'd like to talk about this evening. I think I figured out something. Controlled opposition and agent provocateur lead to the same place. Whether they are one or the other makes no difference. If they are teaching, they are not doing, and they are impeding the progress of the people. Anna, Kurt, John, maybe Keith. This traps good people, people that already know 50% more than they need to know. Stop learning and start doing. This is not to resolve your issue. I could give a PHU QUE. This is about returning Oregon to a constitutional Republican form of government in 2022, not about your personal issues. Kurt said to us, free inhabitants. There is also peaceful inhabitants or royalists from the Revolutionary era. You have to cooperate with the system to obtain a win or a dismissal. People don't care. They'll cooperate. Give me my kids back. That resolves their problem. But that gives a win to the Stockholm Syndrome people. You got to get away from them. You got to get into the de jure. We're guaranteed a de jure form of government. You got to quit accepting the de facto as a definitive government. We got to get rid of it, each and every one of us. I know how to supply a document that will make you an Oregonian on the land and soil, a man or a woman or their children, a sovereign among sovereigns with no subject. You can expatriate from that, being a sovereign, a man or a woman, to a free inhabitant, to a state national, to a foreign agent, to a U.S. citizen, to an ambassador, to a state citizen. I did it recently to become a U.S. citizen. I expatriated so I could vote in the Republican primary. I also enlisted in the Navy and then had to remove myself. The de facto system, aka State of Oregon, capital State of Oregon, a subdivision of the United States, is a defunct incorporated entity operating in color of law in 33 states and 17 territories. You cannot, may not, we will not, we will no longer permit you to do that. We are no longer deceived. We are Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution. We are changing that out to de jure in 2022. Article 7 amended or Article 7 original. That's the key. They, teacher, CEO, president, pastor, minister, are teaching to eager learners how to cooperate with the system by following what the de facto is expressing, and like a society gains its existence upon, from, through the state, like the John Birch Society, teaching a how-to course, or that engineer guy down in Texas, or David Strait, or Ammon Bundy. Do not cross the bar. You cannot remove the incorporated governance by joining it. You chose to cooperate with the enemy. If you acquiesce to evil, you are evil. If you broke your sacred oath, then you exempted yourself from a position of honor and trust. Can someone repent, self-correct, take the proper oath and keep it? Take heed of the kol niedra spelling. That's where you cancel all your oaths. This endeavor is not to be at peace or to transcend. Returning stolen property to the rightful owners lawfully when the de facto does not want to give up the cash cow. That's me and you. Neither do those that earn a living or an income from teaching, preaching, collecting donations, selling merchandise. Pino, patriot name only. It is a business that they do in de facto. Anna, David, Keith, John, Kurt, JBS, the Texans, they want to grow their business. There's a bunch more in that ilk. Not the goal of the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. We are blessedly big enough. We have just one job. Minimize the distractions and take them on head on at a dead run. We can't back down from these people. We got to push harder and stronger and longer. And with the results of the Republican primary, it just got tougher, which means we have to get tougher. Somewhere along the timeline, you discovered the fraud of your birth certificate, a legal fiction perpetrated upon the people by the state. Each state and territory has been complicit in the deception. That is the jurisdiction they created and are party to. It was created by bar attorneys, members of the British Accreditation Registry, or some similar name. The British acknowledged a sovereign over them since 1215, still to this day. Canada, New Zealand, and Australia also. They're subjects, first and foremost. We do not have English common law. We have American common law, and we've had that since the 1600s, with a total break from English common law in 1776. The problem is most people are persons of the state. Originally, they were royalists, peaceful inhabitants. There were more royalists than there were revolutionaries. Not all of them went back to England or moved up to Canada. There's a lot of them right here. They go by other names, but that's who they are. That is the normal state of being, to be a free sovereign man or woman on the land of Oregon. You expatriate to join the military or to be elected to a position of trust by your oath or to be an employee of the state. They are state nationals or state citizens. Please look up state, Black's Law, page 1407. I decline that subjugation of my unalienable rights granted to me by God and codified by our founding documents. I stop and start at Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution. When continuing to read under state, you find foreign state, state officers, state paper, state revenue, but no state national or state citizen. Please look up Man, Black's Law, 6th edition, page 960. We were returned unlawfully to a feudal state in the Treaty of Paris in the first paragraph, signed by J. Franklin and Adams, all Esquires. Fraud vitiates all contracts partially or completely. It's a good thing for people to do. DuckDuckGo, the Treaty of Paris, and read the first paragraph. They gave us back to the king, those heroes of the revolution, Esquires. Lincoln doubled down on that in March 1861, and again with the new Constitution, all in color law. Each state of our Union acquiesced to this sometime after 1906. Oregon was November 8, 1910. Now, why would a man or woman acquiesce to being a state national, a subdivision of the United States? We are no longer deceived. Your law form is a nullity on Oregon. Look up national, page 1024, and look up citizen on page 244. I spoke with a guy named Borg more than once. He claims to have written the book that defined state national. I spoke with Anna about this too, and she put him down, but she didn't deny that he wrote the book. I spoke with others and emailed with them about this. I decline any usurpation of my unalienable rights. I do not expatriate to state national from my natural state as a man on the land and soil of Oregon. I did to become a U.S. citizen to vote in their election, not my election. They usurped that power also. And I filed it with the people, and you can see I filed it with living testimony. You cannot trust these people we're dealing with. This is a fight. This is life or death. There's an original amendment called 13 Tona, Titles of Nobility. You can find it on our website, orsja.org. We explained it clearly and succinctly. Attorneys with the title of Esquire may not hold elected office. And the preferential treatment of the bar in the Oregon Revised Statutes must be eliminated. The Oregon Bar Association offers either JD, Juris Doctor, or Esquire to their members. Matthew Deedy lied when he wrote the two histories of Oregon. Big, thick books. I've read through it, not completely, but I've read through them both. And I know it to be a lie. The two books overlap from like 1848 to 1868 and from 1860 to 1875, something like that. His name is spelled D-A-D-Y. They have an altar to him on the 7th floor of the Mark O. Hatfield building downtown. When he wrote his books, he claimed there was no 13 Tona in our statehood documents. But here's a little secret. Both of his books were published after the Civil War. So they give a date that they're true from here to here. And then they publish them after they have the outcome of the Civil War. And they have the information available to them on the fraud of the 13th and 14th Amendments. And they perpetrate the lie on us. Then you look at statutes at large, the SALs. Law in this country is the Constitution and its amendments. The statutes at large, which are the statutes that are made positive law and make it through Congress and actually exist, statutes at large, and treaties. I've looked at a lot of treaties and not one of them makes the grade. They all fail. They've been lying to us for a really long time. And we got to roll this back. Anyhow, the SALs of 1858 were written after the Civil War. So they just go back and rewrite history, file it, and everything's good. And if you don't know when the SAL of 1858 was written, you'd think it was true. But when you find out it wasn't written until after the Civil War, then you kind of wonder. There's all kinds of deficiencies in their lives. But if people don't know, they're ignorant and they are deceived. And that's what they want. The Secretary of State, I've tried with 3 of them, will not show our statehood documents. Neither will the National Archives. Her name's Jane Fitzpatrick. Nor the Library of Congress. Her name is Mutahara won't come. But they refuse. They refused to show Oregon statehood documents. A guy named Milt Mitchek out in Eastern Oregon, he says he has certified copies of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Colorado. The last three are still lawful territories. Darrell of the Oregon Assembly says he has a photo of Oregon statehood documents, and it has 13 tona in it. This brings the military to mind. Titles of nobility are or include General, Sir, and Mr. There's only two that have titles of nobility: attorneys and officers in the military. Now, why would that be? George Washington demanded he be addressed by the title of Your Excellency. Ike, Dwight Eisenhower, a five-star U.S. Army general, commanded the largest army in the history of the world. A graduate of West Point, and he became president of the United States. And when he left office, he said, beware of the industrial military complex. Industry is written by bar attorneys. They write all the contracts. They write all the documents. It's corporate. That's what attorneys are for. And they control all of it. Donald John Trump loves bar attorneys and Jew bankers. That ought to give you some kind of clue. The military is run by gentlemen, sirs, and misters. I think all of this is ripe for a grand jury. And we have one coming up. By the time this gets aired, it'll probably be over. Next time we talk, I'll tell you what happened. And I yield.
Conspirators, all persons employed by or associated with police, sheriffs, marshals, and others of that ilk on Oregon, operating in the de facto incorporated governance of Article 7 amended, either self-correct to the de jure Article 7 original, or be tried in our de jure civilian court of record with a true bill from our grand jury. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Returning to a de jure government after more than 100 years of deceit due to Article 7 amended is difficult, and we put forward our best effort. Article 1, Section 1, Natural Rights Inherent in People. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority, and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. That's from the Oregon Constitution.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. And then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.